Hey guys, it's Evan, the resident game master at Chaotic Cast TV. Welcome to our top 5 videos where we will be covering all things and topics about D&D. Some of these are opinions and others will be rules and options that are listed within the source books available. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe button to become a part of the chaos and hit the bell icon to get alerts when new videos drop. Giveaways are coming, so join us. We would like to thank Dwayne's World for all their awesomeness and D&D Beyond for having the resources to allow us to make these videos. Now, let's get to the top 5. Number 5, Betrayal of the General. To start things off, this was one of the first encounters that I had ever ran. Mostly before they were just kind of random and not as much fun as they could be. The story involved with the encounter seemed to spice them up and make them more immersive and important to the campaign, as well as it encourages roleplay opportunities from the players and myself. So what I'm going to do with these, I'm just going to kind of read you a snippet of the encounter and then list out some of the decisions that had to be made, different things like that. Maybe this video will just give you an idea of something to put into your game. Maybe you can use this as a base to build your own encounter off of it, or just any sort of inspiration in your brain to help you get past a dead spot in your campaign that you just need a filler. So if any of these help, you're more than welcome to use them. I hope you like them. There was once a bard's tale that always was thought to be a legend until the song took to life. Long lost mages from another time found their way into the native plane. These brothers would bring war and destruction on the land as they fought each other for power, and the people of Stamrin would be caught in the crossfire. Without choice, the king of Stamrin launched an attack on one of the brothers and his conscripted army of devils and fiends. The party was a squad in this army of Stamrin and fought in one of the most legendary battles still talked about in Manola today. The party fought valiantly, and despite having most of their armies destroyed, they marched on under their colonel's orders, who was the last remaining officer. Little did the party know that the colonel had made agreements on his own to end the war faster and betray his squad of soldiers in hopes of bringing a quick end to the war. He left them in a cave with a young dragon as he took relics promised to the enemy. The colonel thought the sacrifice of his squad was worth the millions of lives that would be saved, according to his agreement that he had arranged. But little did he think the party would survive. Eventually, the party was reunited with the general in an unexpected way, and the story was told. I'm going to leave that open for you guys to decide. But something cool about it was my players have not forgotten this colonel's name to this day, which is cool to have a staple character in their minds that played such an important part. As this video goes on, I meant to put this at the beginning, but I forgot. As this video goes on, you might hear me say words like Manola, Stamrin, different things like that. That is our homebrew stuff, and it's just cities or kingdoms or the area, regions, whatever. But in this specific encounter, the DM decisions that you'll have to make is the common enemy, setting of the first arc, however you want it to be set up, what's going on, kind of why is there a conflict, the type of betrayal that it is. And betrayal plays into D&D in a cool way because if someone betrays the party and then they live, it just puts a fire in your player's heart of, I want to find that guy and I want to kill him. And it can unite your party together quickly and then give them a common goal to chase. Aside from all their other goals maybe determined in their backstory. It's just a cool way to get everybody united and get out the door. And something else that's cool is make the betrayal hurt the character's feelings. Like maybe this was someone they looked up to and they trusted, or they spent a lot of time with, or maybe it was one of the character's older brothers, or maybe it was all the characters are brothers and it was their dad, or just something crazy that really affects and hurts the character's feelings because it can make the game more realistic and create that bond between the characters and the hatred of this enemy. You can just see it on your players' faces. Super cool. That was number 5. Number 4, some sort of war camp. And this one is probably a classic, but it takes me back to my love of strategy and risks associated with sneakiness or blunt attacks, planning. How do I want to go about resolving this issue. War camps for myself are fun to design with unlimited options. They're also a fun way to take a lower challenge rating enemy and have a heavy population that would even give high-level party trouble. You know, for instance, kobolds, humans, gnolls, vampires, goblinoids, three creams, giants. I mean, the options are endless. And you could have all kinds of things within the war camp itself. You could have where they store their food, their weapons, where they have their prisoners, or maybe they are actually helping out a king who visits the war camp frequently and he has his own stay. All kinds of options with war camps. And it gives your players a cool vibe. Here's the snippet from a previous campaign. There was once a hobgoblin warlord by the name of Nakriza, who terrorized the strong plains of Manola. He would raid small villages, roads, and other creatures' steads, all in purpose of killing and hunting for treasure. Until one day, a hag ventured to him in a dream to take his war effort in strategic mind to attack a town by the name of Turn's Farm. The hag simply needed help retrieving some valuables, which, unknowingly to Nakriza, turned out to be children. As the players were already in the town conducting business of their own, an attack by Nakriza and his minions left the town on fire, many dead and the party exhausted from the fight. He abducted the children that he could and returned to his war camp, stationed a few miles back off. He was planning to meet with the hag and deliver the children. It just so happened the party was in the town when Nakriza attacked. So, eventually, the players made their way to the war camp and they devised a plan of attacking by using nearby trees and fire to set the wooden war camp ablaze, cause chaos, and the ultimate goal was to rescue the children that were taken as well as slay the warlord Nakriza. This encounter evolved in ways because Nakriza actually lives and then he runs to the hag's hideout. The players have to chase him there. Anyway, it was really cool. But what the neatest thing to me was this encounter had multiple parts and I was able to give the power of strategy and planning that normally the DM has to do over to the players. Instead of me laying traps, the players were laying traps for this war camp that was full of goblins and hobgoblins and clearly a hag who was trying to retrieve children. So it was just really cool to be able to sit back and kind of see the players take planning and trap laying and that stuff into their own. So some of the decisions you'll have to make on this one is what monsters are in the war camp, what is their purpose or what are they after, what all does their settlement contain, treasure, storage, the precursor to the next quest could possibly be there, magical items, there's all kinds of things. And then, you know, is one of them an important NPC who's involved, like a king or an advisor to the king or a queen or a prince or whatever. You know, the Archmage Wizard, who's well known throughout the world of Manola, has a darker desire that he's using the hobgoblins of the strong plains. All kinds of options there. Number 3 is the Dragon's Lair. This one is a classic. It made my list just because dragons are one of my favorite monsters to play. They aren't absent-minded. They aren't controlled by a master. They are intelligent. They have desires greater than the common person or queen or king. Their personalities are variable as well as their lairs. Their desires can be matched to that of anyone except they have the force and power of a dragon behind it. One of the encounters I've read goes like an ancient red dragon who was born through a volcano. But this wasn't a common ancient dragon at all, if you can call one that. This was the avatar of a banished god, Bane. A group who would become known as the Princes of Peace traveled to an inner mountain volcano within the mountain ranges of Manola. Deep within the Crimson Sepulchre, a dragon was born and its soul was merged with a banished one's spirit. Bane had found a way back into the native plane by a ritual conducted by his loyalists. The Princes of Peace descended into the Devil's Hell to banish him once more, but the lair he had built out of lava and smoke proved too much for some of them. So I built this lair to contain lavas plumes of steam, plumes of smoke, and various other actions to where rocks and things would fall off. The land where the dragon was sitting was kind of like his broken egg, and so it was kind of suspended and floating up above the lava. All kinds of different things you can do with layers, and you can add in layer actions as you go. I think there's layers out there in Volos or maybe Mordenkainen's or maybe just the monster manual. I'm not sure. You can take the basic layer rules and kind of make them fit your encounter. There's all sorts of things you can do with that there, but there are so many dragons now, especially due to fizz bans, that the list of DM options is too long. So I'm not going to list out things that you can possibly do. But hey, dragons are in the title of the game for a reason. That's all I'm going to say. Number 2, political gain. The king of the strongest region in the land desires more and more and fuels his greed by inviting rival guests to a dance in his extravagant castle. He has placed spies within these political rivals' inner circles and has made plans to force their hands to agree to trades, alliances, bargains, and deals. But the king is playing chess, not checkers. So he deviously aligns the spies to perform some act of treason against their superior. All the while, he is behind the curtain planning to expose the spies as traitors, gaining utmost trust from his rivals to help him in a future endeavor. Political games may revolve around any sort of national gain for a kingdom, or a faction, or an alliance, or anything like that. And to me, it's fun sometimes to have an encounter where charisma and wit of your players, like their actual intuition, is against yours to determine what happens. I just think that that's fun. It takes a break from the real heavy sword slinging, spell firing kind of stuff. And you can get a cool little encounter in there that's a lot different than any of the other stuff that you've been doing. So the DM decisions on this are potential of conflict. What part the players play. Are they the spies? Are they the king's bodyguards? Are they possibly one of the other factions that's being lied to and they don't know? Or maybe they're about to be attacked. All sort of options there. You got to determine if the king's actually good or bad. Is he a good king that's just good at playing chess and he's taking risks? Or is he a bad king who's trying to align something to demise all the other factions so he can take over the world? All kinds of options. And how many different avenues are being pursued for each kingdom, kind of what I just touched on. And then with this one, something I put in there is you got to determine the DCs for charisma-based checks. You may just be rolling against every single check, or you might want to go ahead and just have those set out there. That way, you kind of have an idea. And then the last one of this top 5 is one that I made up several months ago. We played it on a one-shot. Hunter was a part of that one-shot. So anyway, I really like this one. You may see it again. But I'll start out. It's called Blood Marble. In the middle of a sandy wasteland sits a marbled statue, sculpted in the shape of 2 hands cupped, attempting to hold something. There is nothing else around, but the map marks this location. The adventurers approach the sculpture and begin to study the artisan's work when the ground vibrates just slightly, drawing the ire of the party. The wind softly blows across the tops of dune, carrying dustings of sand into the air. After a few arcana checks and trial and error attempts, the party realizes the key to this sculpture that is hiding a portal to another plane needs a certain amount of blood from them to activate. As the party members bleed themselves into the hands of the sculpture, the vibrations increase, and a silvered, scaly land shark breaks the surface of the sand just behind them and leaps and attacks the party. Meanwhile, the marble statue begins to rise up out of the ground. It's kind of how that encounter went. So the few things you gotta decide is the amount of hit points required to reveal the portal. How many, I used bullets in this one, so how many to attack, when, what round do they break the surface, and what environment. I used the desert. It can be in a temple, it can be out in the jungle. I mean, there's all sorts of different environments you can place it in. And then if you want the sculpture to move or rise as blood is added, that's how I revealed the portal of where they were trying to go. But the consequence to it rising is the party had to figure out how to get on top to continuously add the blood. And that's another way I added the blood is I let them attack, use whatever weapons to bleed themselves. They had to roll dice to see how much blood they were actually adding. So it added another randomness factor to it. Because if they only need one more hit point, but they cut themselves and bled out, 9 health. I mean, they lost 9 health. Lost 8 health extra. Just the way it goes. Those are the top 5 encounters. I hope you like what you see. Please subscribe if you do. If you want to be a part of the chaos, please subscribe. We're going to be doing giveaways when we get to certain subscriber numbers. Hit the alert icon to get notified when we post new videos. Our main campaign is every 2 weeks. As always, love you guys. Welcome to the chaos.
Huh?